Hello, today is June the 20th, 2017. Let's go over my calls from yesterday. I said yesterday's pattern was basically positive. All we needed for confirmation was to trade past the closing price by a tick. I said if we gapped down, never filled the gap, never went over that close, this was invalidated, and that's what happened. I was looking for a daily pattern with three humps. Those really aren't the three humps I was looking for. I think I just made a mistake on that one. The system I use is that the daily pattern repeats itself every 32 calendar days. So I just look back 32 calendar days and see what the pattern is and expect the same thing to happen. Sometimes that falls on a weekend, so you can either go back 32 days before that, or you can just multiply 32 by 7 to give you 224, go back 224 days and kind of get an idea of what the change in trend times are going to be. Either this usually reliable method failed this time, or else I just misread the pattern. Anyway, based on that pattern, tomorrow should be a pattern with an early high, and Thursday should be a pattern with an early low. Well, here's the MeJT stuff. It gave a buy signal, but the target was hit immediately, and there's resistance at the target. So buy in MeJT doesn't mean buy, it just means there's a target at a higher price. And people used to other systems sometimes find it hard to make the transition to MeJT, because when you see buy, you want to buy. All that means is there's a higher price with resistance over it, and that happened. It does say this is a false move, gives us a target of 24.44, most likely to print tomorrow. But as I've said, MeJT likes to leave a failed target at major changes in trend. So there's an increased risk that this won't work. Well, as good as yesterday's pattern was, that's how bleak today's was. I did have a timing system I'm working on that had a change in trend on Friday the 16th and Saturday the 17th. When it falls on a Saturday, you have to go to an adjoining day, which is the 19th. So if this high holds, then my system had a direct hit. We won't find out until later if it holds, but if it works, it will be kind of a pretty thing and give me more confidence in the system. And the next date that the system has is Monday, June 26th. Well, what's negative about this? We're still on a DeMark sell on the half-day chart. The daily chart, as I said, gapping it down invalidates that. And on the weekly chart, they're all in alignment on the sells. But the real problem is that a day after a new all-time high was hit, all these prior highs fell. So that marks this as a false breakout. Same rule, we have to trade past today's close by a tick. Gapping up, trading over this kills the signal from today, but that's a rejection of the new highs. And it's confirmed by going under all these highs. The real confirmation is going under all these lows. And spike bottoms like this don't last forever. I think this low should fall at some point. This was the count I had on June the 3rd. There really isn't a good Fibonacci relationship at the top, but you don't have to change much to find one. You just make this A and this B. Take the length of blue A, and there's your 38.2%, so at least it's plausible. Now, I know a lot of people are calling this the fifth wave, which would mean that the rally's almost over. If this is a fifth wave, then this wave should be able to be counted in fives. I mean, this should be counted in fives. I just can't do that. These are all three-wave actions, and that's why I'm calling it a B, although I realize I'm in the minority when I do that. So we have a higher target. I think it'll fail. This invalidates yesterday's positive move. We have the DeMark cells. We had a multi-year low within the last week in the old VIX VXO, showing extreme optimism. This is the date for my timing system. So I think it wouldn't take much for the big drop to start right here. And that's today's call.